All right, we got Walter in the house to talk some NFL draft, baby. All right, welcome back to the Onebar and Lupagus show. I'm Onebar with Lupagus, and if you've watched our show, you know the man in the middle. That is Walter from WalterFootball.com, the only place to go to for the draft. I think he started his website in about 1973, and he has just been ripping shit up year in and year out. Mock drafts, prospect rankings, all of it. Hit up the links down in the description. Walter, good to see you, man.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, we predated the internet somehow, but yeah, it's great to be on with you guys. Sorry for not getting back to you right away. It's kind of crazy here at that in this house, but yeah, I'd love to talk draft with you guys. So it's awesome to be on again.
Yeah, I think this is your third time, right? Third timer.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, I love doing this show every year. So yeah, it's hopefully we can do it again next year. But we'll have 2 kids here, so it'll hopefully there won't be too much crying to interrupt the show.
We will personally send Lupagus there to babysit your children.
Yeah, I will rock them.
Nice. Something that may or may not be legal. But yeah, no, 3-timer. Once you hit 5, we're going to get you a gold jacket or something.
Yep.
Cannot wait. But let's talk draft and let's talk Vikings. Let's get into it. Best case scenario for the Vikings at 23. Not just best case, but also realistic scenario. Vikings at 23.
So I think it has to be one of the receivers. They're top 4 receivers in this class. You have Jackson Smith-Njigba, Quentin Johnston, Zay Flowers, and Jordan Addison. I think they could go pretty much in any order. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba is the favorite to be the first receiver chosen. But there's a chance that they're all off the board by 23. And so the Vikings, who need a receiver, may not be able to get one of them. So I think the best case is to be able to get one of them because, if Justin Jefferson goes down, KJ Osborne is suddenly your number 1 receiver, which is not a good scenario. I like Osborne and everything, but not as a number 1 at all. So I think getting one of those receivers at 23 would be best case.
And if they can't get one at 23, who are some guys maybe around 3 or 4 they could be looking at who could maybe help fill that role of wide receiver too?
So I think like someone like Andre Eusebius, the receiver from Princeton, he's big size, like he's 6'3". He ran a 4.43 at the combine, which is faster than a lot of people expected. Charlie Cambar, senior NFL draft analyst. He talked to people around the NFL. They all seem to like him as like a day 2 prospect. They think there's a chance he could sneak into round 2, but I think he probably goes in the 3rd round. And so the Vikings could take him there. Charlie Jones is really good route runner. Good hands. From Purdue. He's another guy who's like round 3, round 4. So I like those 2 guys for the Vikings in that range.
We like them too.
You got the Vikings taking Witherspoon at 23 mock draft. Is that actually possible, or is that just the way the board shook out? Because when I see that, I get very excited visibly.
Yeah. So I've seen a lot of mock drafts with Witherspoon in the top 10, and that could definitely happen. But there's some concern with his injury status. Some teams are worried that about his durability, so there's a chance he could fall. I'm actually updating. So we're recording this Monday, April 3rd. I'm actually updating my mock draft tonight, and I finished most of it. I need to make a couple of changes. I actually had the Vikings taking Jordan Addison now at 23. I'm moving Witherspoon up to 18. I think he is going to go late teens, maybe early 20s if the injuries are a concern. But if teams clear him medically, I think there's still a chance he can go top 10. So his range is like all over the place depending on his medical.
All right, so it's pretty consensus. I mean, top 5 quarterbacks, at least who those top 5 are. The order may vary depending on who we're talking to. But how about after the top 5? Is there a quarterback down the road that could become a starter in the NFL?
Yeah, so I like Max Duggan, who I mocked to the Vikings in the 3rd round. He's a really smart quarterback. He has better arm than I think people think. He can run around. That's definitely a plus. He's a really good teammate, a good leader. The reason he's going in the 3rd round is because he has no elite traits. But I think he's an all around like decent guy. I hate to make the comparison to Andy Dalton because they're both from the same school, but he reminds me of like a slightly worse passing Dalton with more mobility. So I think he could be a decent starter. And maybe call me a sucker for this, but I just can't get over like Stetson Bennett, like how good he was at Georgia, and like his arm velocity at the combine was like near the top. It was like 50, I think it was like 59 miles an hour, which was like pretty surprising. The problem with him is obviously he's like super short. He's like 5'11", but I don't know. He just won in college. I feel like he's going to be one of those guys who do so well in college and then just flame out in the NFL. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if he becomes a really good backup in the NFL, and he could come in as as a like spot starter here and there, win a couple games, kind of like Mike White did it with the Jets or something like that.
Well, I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on Duggan because after the combine and his Senior Bowl performances, which weren't very good, I thought for sure you'd have him over that round 3 of the Vikings. You still had him there, and I was shocked. So again, you don't think that hurt him at all?
I mean, it was a little disappointing, but I think overall, teams like that. He's like a good teammate. He's a smart quarterback. Like that'll hurt him a little bit. So like maybe with a really good performances in the pre-draft process, he could have maybe snuck into the second round. But I think third, fourth is probably where he's going to go.
All right, let's talk Deonte Banks. Everybody we have on, we have to ask him about Deonte Banks because it seems like every mock draft pretty much has Banks going to the Vikings at 23, which Lupagus and I feel that is mildly disgusting. But we know at WalterFootball.com you grade the free agents, the signings, the draft picks, and you're very harsh, which is also very entertaining. If this were to happen, what grade would you give the Vikings for taking Banks at 23?
Probably, I wouldn't be too harsh. It fills a need, and you could maybe argue it's kind of in the range. Both Charlie and I think he's going to go in the second round. Charlie has him early second. I have him later in the second. But I have him like at the bottom of the second, but it was just more of like, I can't put this guy in the early, middle, second round. So I just have him going late second. So I'd probably give like B-, C+, something like that.
Oh.
I don't think it's a terrible pick. I don't think it's probably like, we were talking about best case scenario, definitely not nearly the best case scenario. It's probably like way down, but at least it does fill a need. And he's a talented cornerback. He's just pretty raw. I don't think he's ready to play in year one right away.
All right, how about a guy who maybe he's got bust written all over him right now?
I think I'm not a Will Levis guy. He's got accuracy issues. He can't seem to throw a touch pass. I feel like he's just being pushed up because of his upside. And I mean, he has amazing upside. Like, I think if he goes to a team with an amazing quarterbacks coach, they could turn him into a good quarterback. Kind of reminds me of Blake Bortles, where like Bortles has been terrible in his career, but he had remember that one year he had where he threw for almost like 5,000 yards and like high 30s touchdowns. That was with Greg Olsen, the quarterbacks coach for the Jaguars at the time. I think he was the offensive coordinator actually. He took Josh Freeman to a Pro Bowl. He had Mark Bulger playing his best in his career. Like someone like Greg Olsen could, I think, turn Will Levis into a good quarterback in the short term. But I think like once he's paired with a mediocre or worse offensive coordinator or quarterbacks coach, like he's probably not going to do well. I just don't see it with him. I like the other three quarterbacks more.
Speaking of quarterbacks, quick, are you drinking the Hendon Hooker Kool-Aid? Is he a second round guy? Do you think he's going to be a star?
I have him in the third round. There's just such a bad track record of these 25 plus, or he's 26, I think, quarterbacks coming to the NFL, or really like overall prospects in any position. They just don't seem to do well. There's like the upside's pretty limited with them. I mean, he was awesome in Tennessee, but he's also coming off the injury too. That's a concern, and he's a mobile quarterback. So, like the torn ACL is a big problem. So you have the age and the injury. I don't think I'd touch him until the third round.
God. Well, Lupagus brings up a bust guy. Let's go to the opposite side of things. 2-3 years from now, who's a player that everyone's gonna be like, holy shit, how'd we pass on him? Who's gonna be one of the bigger steals?
So, I mean, I don't know if I remember you asking me this question a couple of times over the years. And I probably gave you some guys who didn't work out, but I remember giving you one guy, like Javon Holland, the safety from Oregon who went to the Dolphins. I liked him a lot because his amazing instincts. Like that's something I think is really important for safeties. And someone who reminds me of that is like a very poor man's Javon Holland is a Jair Brown, the safety from Penn State. He's small and he's not athletic. Like he's not Javon Holland type athletic, but he's super instinctive and like he seems to know where the ball is going at all times. And I think someone like that can step in right away and and like be like maybe even a starter in year one. Now he won't have the upside to be a Pro Bowl player or anything, but I think he could be like a solid starting safety in the NFL.
Nice. I think we got one more for you, Walter. Again, thanks for coming on. Third time has definitely been the charm so far. I want to ask you though about your draft day. Like, I mean, what's it look like for you? What do you do? Are you on there live grading every pick, or how's that work? What's your plan?
Yeah, it's crazy. It just, the first day I do a live blog and I grade, which is like pretty chaotic because, trying to post my thoughts in both places at the same time. But it somehow works out all the time. Second day it gets crazier with the grades because the NFL can't, the TV can't seem to keep up with the NFL, which is like, it's really frustrating because on Twitter you'll see like picks like that are 5 spots ahead. Which is I don't know. Like I feel like the NFL should fix that at some point. But I'll be looking on Twitter for the actual picks, and I'll write them up. And as soon as it's announced on TV, I'll post it on the TV. So I'm constantly typing on day 2, and then day 3 is just insane because teams just draft right away. Like especially when you get to like round 6 and 7, when teams can't trade anymore, they just go like pick. And like I like just pray I don't fall behind like insanely. Like there's some years where I'm like 50 picks behind. I'm like, oh my God, like how am I ever gonna catch up? Last year, I don't know. I was somehow like keeping pace with it, and my editor actually texted me and he's like, I know you won't see this until the draft's over, but I'm super impressed that you're able to keep up. And I'm like, I have no idea how I'm doing this right now. It felt like I was in the zone, but like usually I'm like 15, 20 picks behind on day 3 because it's so fast.
Well, when the guy from the Cowboys comes out and does the guest whatever, and he talks for 7 minutes, that gives you a chance to catch up. Get those old timers out there that won't shut up.
That's the case on TV, but they still make the picks in real life, so you still have to be on top of it. It's just I really hate how they do that. They really need to sync up. That's like I love the NFL draft. That's the one thing I hate about it is like the TV doesn't sync up with real life, and I think they need to fix that.
Yeah, I turned Twitter off. I don't want to be
spoiled. Twitter is a no.
I would too if I didn't have to keep up with the grades. Like, but I learned the hard way when I didn't do that the first time, and like that, I think that was the year I was 50 picks behind. You just can't do that.
Hey, I gotta one more. Since you've been doing this so damn long, I mean, when did you start? Early 2000s?
1999.
99. Have you ever had a player reach out to you and just give you crap like about their ranking or anything? I mean, you're clearly one of the biggest ones out there. Has anybody ever given you crap? No names necessary.
I don't care. I'll give you a name. So we were supposed to, Charlie actually was supposed to interview LeVeon Bell. And I was actually at the gym and I checked my phone and I saw like 5 missed calls from, Charlie and then this unknown number. And I was like, what is going on here? So I called Charlie. He's like, the LeVeon Bell interview is probably going to be off. And I'm like, why? And Charlie's like, because his agent reached out to me and said Le'Veon Bell is not happy with where you have him in your mock draft. So he's like, you have him in the 3rd round. He wants to be in the 2nd. And I'm thinking I don't hate Le'Veon Bell. I like some of the other running backs a little bit more. It turned out I was wrong because Bell turned out to be great until he kind of just fell off a cliff. But I was like, I'm not going to cave to this. I'm not going to move him up just because his agent says so. So yeah, we never got to interview Le'Veon Bell because of
that. You're better than me. I would have put him up there for like a day and then put his ass back.
Just move down. Yeah, that's probably the better move. But I was like, I don't know. I was pretty angry about it.
Held your ground. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a great story. That's awesome.
When's your mock drop? When's your new one drop?
Tonight, probably around 9 or 10 o'clock. Actually, we do a show on YouTube now called Walter Football After Dark, and I preview my mock draft, which I drop it and then I go live on YouTube. So yeah, it'll be like around 10.
Nice. Well, we'll put the links down in the description. Be sure to give them a sub. Check out the mock drafts. As always, Walter, fantastic. Greatly appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, and I look forward to next year.
Boom.
All right. Take care, Walter.
You too.